I'm your cult boyfriend. Today we are going to Google and I'm going to use Google search. Ask it what the best films ever made are, and it will allow me to talk about certain movies that I ordinarily wouldn't have the chance to lend my thoughts about. And I don't know, let's just have some fun. These are fun videos, we make some jokes, we spill the tea, give some hot takes, and maybe occasionally provide some decent insight. Let's start with 1990s drama comedies. Party Girl. I love Party Girl. All right, not only is Parker Posey certainly a 90s dream girl of mine, but she's also like a spirit animal too. I love Parker Posey to death. And Party Girl, that is definitely it is Parker Posey at her best. And I think Party Girl has a lot to say. I think it's a pretty like mammoth film. I think it's pretty great. I think it's funny. I think it's stylish. I think it's aesthetically kind of brilliant. Overall, I would call the film just emblematic of its time and its place, and it's Parker Posey at her very best. I love Parker Posey to death. All right, she's so cool and she's so funny and she's so pretty. Um, I like her a lot. Kicking and Screaming, a film by Noah Baumbach. Also Parker Posey. It gets the Parker Posey pass. It's not bad, actually. I'm not a huge Noah Baumbach fan in general, but Kicking and Screaming is fine. SLC Punk. Uh, this was a movie that my friends and I unironically kind of worshipped in junior high. We were obsessed with this movie. Matthew Lillard and Heroin Bob. Oh my God, we were obsessed with them. Loved it. It's still good. You know, it's still good. Devon Sawa is like particularly pretty great in it. The direction's pretty okay. SLC Punk and Party Girl are films that I should cover on the channel because they fall directly under the banner of the sort of teen dramedies and comedies of the 90s and 2000s that I think are essential and extremely important. So Party Girl and SLC Punk, those are definitely films I should cover on the channel. There's a lot to there's a lot to be gleaned, a lot to be learned from studying films like those. Punk, blah, 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 cannot speak. SLC Punk really spoke to my friend group because we were like a misfit, rebellious friend group. We didn't know what we were rejecting, what we just wanted to rebel against everything and anything. Uh, we were like punk kids, and SLC Punk, even though it's like a satire of the punk subculture, was awkwardly inspirational at the same time, you know? I mean, especially if you're a stupid kid. Matthew Lillard is incredible in the film. Can't hardly wait. I have covered on the channel. I love it. I have a great deal of affection for it. It's great. Varsity Blues, I have also made a video about that film on the channel. I thought it was pretty damn interesting. Not a fantastic film, but there's a lot there to engage and interact with. Philosophically, a great postmodern film. To Die For. I do like the Gus Van Sant Nicole Kidman film. I do like it. Not crazy about it, but I do like it. Fallen Angels. I am kind of crazy about Fallen Angels. It's superb. Wong Kar-wai is incredible. I think that Chungking Express is still my favorite Wong Kar-wai because I'm normie as fuck, and then it's even like In the Mood for Love right under it, and then Fallen Angels. That's possibly like the most normie Wong Kar-wai tier you could possibly have and advertise, but whatever. I'm normie when it comes to Wong Kar-wai. I think he's great. If you want a hot take, um, I think that Sofia Coppola learned most of her composition from like films like In the Mood for Love, like inserted those lessons directly into films like Lost in Translation and Somewhere. But I think that Sofia Coppola does everything Wong Kar-wai does, but 10 times better. If you want a hot take, there's one. Sofia Coppola is one of my favorite filmmakers. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, I think, is overrated, and a lot like SLC Punk. Fear and Loathing was distributed around my social clique a lot when I was younger, and it was also inspirational in the same way SLC Punk was. But there's something just so douchebaggy about someone who thinks that Hunter S. Thompson and Johnny Depp are peak male idols. I don't like Fear and Loathing. that much. I like Terry Gilliam. I think Fear and Loathing is pretty overrated, but Benicio is phenomenal in the film, not gonna lie about that. It's so annoying to me because it was such a staple of my youth, and it was a film that uh, kind of rubbed me the wrong way, in the ways that a lot of people seem to be inspired by the film. I don't know. I don't fucking care for it. Whatever. And it's not just about the drugs thing because I was a drug addict in high school. It's more the cartoonish stupidity of masculinity that they kind of adopted from Fear and Loathing that I don't like. 2000s horror movies. Look at all these fucking bangers, 13 Ghosts, I love it. I have a video I've made videos about every single Dark Castle film, basically, all of the good ones and even some of the terrible ones. Dark Castle Entertainment is wonderful. I won't go into it here, but that's some of the most fascinating new horror as a new metal. New horror was such a cool genre, and 13 Ghosts was definitely in that subgenre. 13 Ghosts is excellent. House of Wax is also beautiful. Have a video on that. Please go watch it. It's phenomenal. It's perfect. The most interesting thing about it was how it was advertised as like "See Paris Die." Paris Hilton, of course, having like a pretty outrageous death scene in it, and the vitriol that woman experienced at her peak of fame is kind of insane. And the fact that House of Wax rewards that psychopathic behavior is, I mean, and that's what a horror film is supposed to do. It kind of it weaponizes the misogynist vitriol that Paris Hilton was experiencing and kind of feeds into the psychopathic tendencies of the audience that literally wanted to see Paris die on screen. And it plays directly into it in a voyeuristic way as well, because the killer has like this home camera and he's filming her dead body, or he's like sneaking up on her tent trying to film her while she undresses and does a sexy dance. And it brings to mind what Paris Hilton was most known for at the time, which was her sex tape. We are seeing the same grainy home video footage of Paris Hilton's gored up, mauled, killed, impaled corpse. And I think it's implicating the audience in a way that's not only ultra violent, but perverse. And House of Wax is really, 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 really good. It's a film about doubles. It's a film about the horrific implications of twinning. So yeah, go watch my video about it. Scary Movie 2, it's fucking like stupid. I like Scary Movie 1, I guess. Well, it didn't, never really made sense. So Scary Movie 1 was focused on the Kevin Williamson school, which is the postmodern school, meaning like I Know What You Did Last Summer and Scream. Primarily, that's what the first film was devoted to satirizing, but it doesn't make any sense because part of postmodernism is satire. Like Scream is already part satire. So as I Know What You Did Last Summer, like it's already partly satirical. Like satire is a tool of postmodernism, so it's weird that you're making like a parody of something that was already kind of self-parodying, you know. Well, but whatever. Shannon Elizabeth was great in the first one. The second one is just fucking dumb. It's just bad. I know that a lot of people have affection for it because of their youth, and maybe I would too if I put it on. I'd be like, oh, I remember like late nights in seventh grade. Silent Hill is not terrible. I kind of dig it. Whatever. 28 Days Later is extraordinary. Danny Boyle is excellent. 28 Days Later is a film I should cover on the channel because of the way that it directly interacts with the war on terror and its immediate aftermath, right? Or while it's actually ongoing. 28 Days Later is superb, a superb film. House of the Devil, it's like an early Ty West film, I think. I don't have any strong feelings about it, positive or negative. That's simply a film that exists. I'm I probably don't like it too much though. Jeepers Creepers, hey, yeesh. You know what? It's not good enough to champion, right? The filmmaker is a fucking monster, and it would be a lot harder to to demonize the filmmaker if he actually made films that were amazing, but Jeepers Creepers isn't that amazing. So we can actually easily just wash our hands of that fucking pedo fuck. Cabin Fever. I love Eli Roth. Wait, no, okay, that's a bit extreme. Do I love Eli Roth? Like, no, I really, really like Eli Roth, though. I like Cabin Fever, Hostel, and The Green Inferno quite a lot. Cabin Fever was so much fun, especially when I was 12 in 2002. I think that a large part of horror is trying to tap into a very adolescent part of the audience, and Cabin Fever, I think, satisfies very juvenile expectations of horror films. But that's fun because horror is a kind of genre that is built for those kinds of anticipations. If you like Felicity, dear viewer, I've Google searched Felicity maybe once or twice in my life. Um, I guess I like Felicity. I'm whatever. I guess I'm not a huge fan of Felicity. I don't love it, but hey, you got a couple good ones here. Cruel Intentions. I have a video about that coming out in a little while. It's one of my favorite postmodern 90s teen films. I love it to death. Now and Then I haven't watched, but I don't think it's really my kind of groove. Reality Bites is a fascinating film. Ben Stiller is so cool, a great director. Winona Ryder is sexy and to die for, and Ethan Hawke is he acts a lot like me, to be honest, in the film. Reality Bites is wonderful. Say Anything. I also have a video about that coming out within the next couple months, I think. It's beautiful. I love the film. Cameron Crowe. Cameron Crowe's coming back, everybody. He's making a Joni Mitchell biopic. Oh my God, I'm so excited for it. So excited. Cameron Crowe is fucking king. Can't hardly wait again. That's a popular one. It's fun. I guess it deserves its placement. It's rather abundant placement. Empire Records, excellent film. Staple of the 90s. Lovely and lovable. I like Empire Records a lot. I used to be in a band that covered the Coyote Shivers song that was featured in the film, that song Sugar High. Um, we used to cover that song. So Empire Records always has like a hyper sentimental place in my heart. Foxfire, I don't really care about. I mean, I do love me a young Angelina Jolie, but I don't really care about Foxfire. Center Stage though, I like Center Stage a lot. I think that's early Zoe Saldana, but a lot more importantly, I love ballet. I love dance. I think that dance is actually the most visceral and impactful mode of expression or art possible. And move to tears by watching live ballet. I think ballet and dance is extraordinary, and Center Stage is fun because it focuses on things like that. It's a film about ballerinas. So, heist movies. Bottle Rocket. I love Bottle Rocket. I think it's great. I Will Die on Three Hills. Bottle Rocket, Rushmore, and the Royal Tenenbaums. Those are the names of the hills. Wes Anderson's first three films are bona fide fucking miracle movies. I love them. Ocean's 11. Who gives a fuck? Okay, who cares? I don't care. Fast and the Furious. I also don't care. Who cares? I really don't. But I've only seen like the first three. I've seen one, Too Fast, and Tokyo Drift. Sadly, I hear after that it goes fucking insane and it's awesome, and I really want to see those. But the first one, like, aren't they selling DVD players? Like stolen DVD players? Like, I didn't like the first one, but I hear when like James Wan, who I'm a big fan of, comes in to direct one of them or what, I don't know which one he did, but I hear shit gets bonkers and I hear shit gets awesome. So probably a good series. It's just the first one is the definition of a forgettable film. It's hard to watch the first film and go, yeah, this will spawn a franchise lasting like 20 years with 10 different films. That's not something you can predict from watching the first iteration of the Fast and the Furious. Swordfish is terrible. Um, all it's got are those Halle Berry titties, which are like great. So I'm not even being gross. That's how the film was like marketed. I'm not being just like a man. That's how the film was marketed. It's because they knew it was a shit movie and they paid Halle Berry an exorbitant amount of money per breast to expose them in Swordfish. Like that's how they promoted the movie was see Halle Berry topless, which I mean it piqued my interest. So I mean good marketing campaign, I suppose. the film Heist with Gene Hackman and DeVito, it's so boring. I don't like it at all. The score is also kind of boring, but at least we're anchored by some really good performances. Great performances all around. I think Frank Oz, who directed it, is a very boring filmmaker, but you in the score, it's best to watch it if you're a fan of just acting because De Niro and Edward Norton, Marlon Brando, and Angela Bassett are really doing some cool stuff, really doing some really interesting things with the film. Edward Norton is the one who's taking the most chances. I'm on the side that thinks it pays off. You know, I think he goes a bit far, but I think Edward Norton knows that. I think he knows his limitations, and I think in the score he almost hits those limitations, the walls of his limitations. But I think Edward Norton's pretty good in it. A lot of people think that his performance is in it is kind of offensive, but I think it's like meant to be. You know, the whole thing about his character is that he's pretending to be a person with special needs or learning disabilities, uh, as a cover to be the inside man on a heist, right? And he is going overboard with his depiction of that sort of character. But like the character he's really playing is like this self-absorbed narcissist criminal. So of course that person's ideation concept of an individual with special needs would be a caricature. You have to remember that people in movies, the characters aren't good people. You know, you have to remember that. And I think the score if I ever see it brought up, it is normally brought up in a way that's like it's offensive now, but I think Edward Norton actually did really well. If you watch it again, I think you'll agree with me. Welcome to Collinwood is fucking terrible. The Russo brothers are like the worst fucking thing that ever happened to movies. Gone in 60 Seconds. Oof. Oof. Once again, I love Angelina Jolie and the blonde, the rebel fucking Angelina Jolie. That's probably the best that's probably the best evolution of her. Is this it? Is this the last one we're gonna do? It is movies about violence. That's quite a genre. Reservoir Dogs is a lovely film. I wholeheartedly love the film. A Clockwork Orange has popped up a lot of times in several of these videos. It's a precious masterpiece. What can I say? It's Kubrick. You know what I don't like? I don't like Kubrick analysis, to be honest with you. It lends itself too freely to hyperfixations and just overanalyzing everything. It's like y'all don't believe that Stanley Kubrick was a fucking human being or that shit just sometimes happens. You know, you have to think that like you're giving Kubrick these divine qualities whenever you hyperfixate on analyzing him. You're giving them these like godlike attributes and it makes me think that you guys know nothing about what it's actually like to film. You cannot control everything. Not everything has a fucking purpose. Also, Stanley Kubrick wasn't that great. He was a good filmmaker, but he wasn't that great. It's not like his films are entirely what can I say? I'm trying. Stanley Kubrick really is great. But like hopefully you understand what I mean, okay? I'm trying to like I've never seen a Kubrick analysis that was like necessary. I've never seen a Kubrick analysis video on YouTube specifically that helped me look at life or art or even Stanley Kubrick in a new way. I've never seen that. I don't think that Stanley Kubrick discourse is interesting or is necessary or needed. I don't think that Stanley Kubrick provides filmgoers with interesting discourse. I do not believe that to be the case. Um, and whenever I do hear behind the scenes shit about him, I think that he's just a fucking little obsessive control freak brat. Like I don't admire the man. I don't, and I really don't think that we need Stanley Kubrick at all anymore. Um, so I'm kind of being harsh, whereas, you know, like obviously I think that A Clockwork Orange and like Eyes Wide Shut, um, s- specifically, I think those two films are basically beautiful. I think those are beautiful films. But I don't think we need more discourse around it. I really don't. I don't think that Kubrick provides us with interesting topics to discuss or interesting art to critique. I don't think Kubrick is this untouchable force. In fact, I don't think he's needed anymore. And all these YouTube channels that hyperfixate on Stanley Kubrick are kind of so self-serious that it seems arrogant and pretentious. Like it just seems so fucking stupid, counterproductive even. So I'm being really harsh, like as a knee-jerk reaction to just saying like get over Stanley Kubrick. He wasn't a god. He was just a dude who made a couple good movies. American History X, complicated feelings about American History X. Once again, another great Edward Norton performance. Uh, um, the biggest problem with American History X, I'm Jewish. I feel like I should say ahead of time. I feel like American History X does more harm than good. I feel like if you're going to critique um the skinhead subculture or counterculture, I feel that the best way to do that isn't through someone like Edward Norton, who is in that film. He, for some reason, he's ripped, he's built, he looks great. And he still has the Edward Norton persona to him, so he's like hyper articulate and extremely intelligent. That's kind of the vibe that Edward Norton always gives off. I think if you're gonna critique skinhead subcultures, uh, you probably shouldn't use someone who is so like attractive and smart as your centerpiece. You know, it seems once again, it just seems counterproductive. I don't think the movie should have been made, personally, because among white groups of people, like if this movie is quoted, it's not being like oh man, that this talked me off a very hateful cliff. It's them quoting like the fucking curb stomp scene, you know? And also, don't have him fuck someone who's so hot. And don't have him fuck Fairuza Balk in like the intense goth Nazi gear. Like don't have him fuck someone who is legitimately super sexy. Like don't make skinheads look smart, sexy, and muscular and athletic and cool. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's not the right way to do that. I feel like this is a weird position to have about the film, but it does more harm than good. I understand what the point of the film is. I understand what it's trying to express. But it's like it's like a movie about the dangers of eating disorders, but like you have Kate Moss play the main character, you know? It's like, well, if you didn't want me to be bulimic, you shouldn't have cast such a beautiful too skinny woman in the main role. It's kind of fucking with my head. And while I'm not saying that American History X has turned anyone into a skinhead, actually, I'm not convinced that it hasn't. I'm not convinced that the movie didn't do that because in the 90s, a lot of our exposure came from media, and I think American History X went to a lot more places than the skinhead culture subculture did. It probably even improved its strength because its argument to the contrary, like, isn't as powerful as its argument for. Because it's kind of with Edward Norton, they're building up this warrior, this titan of hateful ideology to humiliate and bring him down in the worst possible ways. But you see, the downfall isn't as persuasive as the rise. It's the problem. It's a problem with every movie that's like that. You know, no one watches Scarface and then doesn't want to be Tony Montana. Like, no drug dealer watches Scarface and goes, you know what? I'm a stop. I'm gonna stop following this path. No, because the argument to the contrary is always so much more persuasive. I need to leave that topic. Edward Furlong, great performance. Beverly D'Angelo, great performance. Everyone gives a great performance, but I just think that the film you're tackling some serious subject matter, and I don't think it's doing it well. The Last House on the Left is lovely. I love the film. Great Wes Craven masterpiece, actually. Very early Wes Craven masterpiece. Funniest thing about that movie is a tale that's been circulated forever, where Wes Craven didn't really know what horror films were like. He was kind of guessing. He knew they were supposed to be ultra violent and crazy. And then when he made this, he was like, "Wait, what? What? I thought that's what you wanted. I thought this is what horror movies were." And then he's like, "Oh shit, I made the craziest horror movie accidentally because I never actually watched any horror movies." He obviously watched Ingmar Bergman. He tried to make a Virgin Spring and he made it just so ultra violent and creepy that it still left an indelible scar on the American psyche. Natural Born Killers, I think, is okay. Oliver Stone is a very, very okay filmmaker. Natural Born Killers is kind of fun. I have fun with it. Cape Fear is terrible. It's a terrible remake. Martin Scorsese should have never done that. What the fuck was he thinking? It's a terrible movie. True Romance, I have fun with it. It's probably the only Tony Scott film that I like. True Romance is cool, and I like it mostly, obviously, because Tarantino's writing is so on point, so on point in the film, and you get a lot of cool performances and some really cool dynamics and some neat action. I like True Romance. Falling Down, I also like. Not much to say about Falling Down. I do like it though. You know, it's funny in a very morbid way. I do like Falling Down. Joel Schumacher, I believe, made that one, and he made it pretty well, all things considered. Thank you for watching my video. In the comments, tell me what you thought of my video, and yeah, have a great day.